And within a twinkle of an eye, the woman is drained and goes into coma and dies if nothing is done immediately. So this is number one. And then secondly, still in terms of the frequency, when it is too many, we know we talked about the too many in terms of the number. When it is, the spacing also is too little, that is, you don't give at least minimum of 2 years interval.
You know, some people will tell you every year one, every year one.
Yes,
Especially when the marriage is delayed.
I have met a woman that had like 4 pregnancies in 5 years.
Wow.
And she told me, I just want to finish it.
And rest.
But that is very risky, because you continue to stress yourself, physiology of your body, the health of your body, and you get derailed. So the best that we health workers advocate is that there should be a minimum of 2 years interval, which allows you to continue to breastfeed your baby. It also allows you to regain your health, your immunity, and then you can continue again. So when it becomes less than, and this is what the issue of the child spacing comes in, another name for the family planning. So you should space your children at least minimum of 2 years. It's good for the mother's health and also benefits the father. And as you rightly mentioned, also the father himself, indirectly, it also affects him economically and socially, and also emotionally. Exactly. So at least minimum of 2 years we advocate. Then you now look at the age of the mother. When the mother is too young, and as you mentioned, even our national population advocates 18 years of marriage, isn't it?
Too young is 18, anything below 18.
Too young, anything below 18. The girl is just growing up. And you find in most communities in Nigeria, they are exposed to pregnancies as early as sometimes 11 years. The girl is immature. The organs are just developing. So when it is too young, it becomes another risky pregnancy. And when the woman is too old actually is 35 years. But you know, the best of pregnancies happen between 23 to 27 years.
Are you people listening?
The best of pregnancies.
All these girls are go and they say, no, I want to finish my career.
I'm telling you, that is the best of pregnancies.
And then you wait until when you're 30 years, 32
yes.
to get married.
So maximum is 35 years. Then you are a bit old. You've started having some health challenges, you know, and all that. It becomes also very risky. So I think I have mentioned most of the 4 areas that are associated with the risk. Then the major ones he has mentioned is the bleeding. Then hypertension in pregnancy, which could lead to eclampsia. It could be pre-eclampsia, before delivery, and it could be postpartum eclampsia. This is another risk that kills women. Anemia in pregnancy, infection, which is septicemia. The woman could get infected. And looking at infection, malaria is another cause also. Malaria in pregnancy is another cause of maternal death. So when you look at all the ranges, you will see that, Elizabeth and viewers, that most of it are preventable. That is the good news about it. More than 90% of maternal deaths are preventable if we do the right thing. We access services immediately during pregnancy, and that is antenatal care. Right from the beginning, you are monitored throughout the span of that pregnancy. You are delivered by a skilled birth attendant, which may not necessarily be a medical doctor. It could be a nurse, a midwife, a community-trained community health extension worker. We are not available, even a junior community health extension worker that has been trained. And then immediately after delivery, you are also followed up, because things can also change after delivery. BP can go up. Bleeding can come up, several other things, infections. So you are followed up during the postpartum period. That is period after delivery for up to 6 weeks. And you know, this is common in our tradition, that women stay 42 days after delivery before they even start going out. I love that tradition. This is to tell you that the woman needs to be taken care of. She needs to regain her psychology back. She needs to regain her health back, and also have time to take care of the newborn. So this period also is a time that the health facilities, the health workers monitor the health of the mother as well as the health of the baby for that period of time.
All right.
You know, when she was talking, I remembered I had an experience with an eclampsia patient. She came to the hospital. I actually took my neighbor. I think she had a second pregnancy or so. So when we got there, at least my neighbor was stable, and this lady just came in. She was... I got really scared. So where is her file? No file. Have you been coming to the hospital? You know, they say, she's been going to one other hospital. Say, which hospital? I was a medical then. They called one government hospital. Say, where is the card of that hospital? At least we can trace it from there.
Her history
Do
is
you
important.
know the truth? She has not been going to the hospital.
Mm.
So here she was. It was a life and death situation. I was really scared. The doctor said they can't take her because anything happens now, it will be said they are the ones that were careless. Unfortunately for them, they are not the ones because she never came. So honestly, you need to see the way she was moving her mouth, biting herself. I was really scared. So it's not something you want to see. It's not something you should wish for anybody, not even yourself. So it's better you just take care of yourself, not to allow yourself to get into that kind of situation.
I mean, if it takes me staying 2 years, why not? I don't want to go through that stress.
Exactly.
2 years, marry early if you must. You have the babies on time and then get it all done with.
And
Now,
visit the hospital.
So let me add this to the possible benefits of family planning, so that we don't miss it. To the child, like my head of department has said, proper spacing gives the child better chance of survival. You know the excuse a lot of families used to give, at least in the olden days, was that let them have as many children as possible so that the number that will remain after some of them have died will ensure that the family has children. So now, if they are spacing for a minimum of 2 years, and there are immunizations that children are given, the children are exposed to continuing health care. So the survival rate will be very high. And now that means that a family does not need to have too many children. That fear of losing all the children, if they have few, is allayed. So people should be confident that if they do family planning, the few children they have will have a very good chance of surviving and look after them in their old age.
all right, so still on you, sir. You know, you said you're an expert when it comes to family planning, and this particular angle to it, I'm really, really curious. I'd like to know, what are the methods for us? When you talked earlier, you talked about the natural method, and I was like, which one is natural now? You know, so maybe you can enlighten us. What are the options? What are the methods?
Well, the natural methods, some religious bodies are promoting them, like the Billings method, the fertility awareness method.
What is billing now?
Well, the woman will observe her fertility pattern when she's fertile, when she's ovulating, to avoid having intercourse, and maybe find out when she's safe, that if she meets her partner, she will not get pregnant. So there's a way it is charted, and once it is followed properly, the woman has a higher chance of not getting pregnant. Then
This method, for me, there are people whose ovulation are just, they run like
erratic,
whirlwind. you
yes,
know,
the woman will have to take time. It needs a lot of patience. The woman will need to study with her partner
Husband, okay.
to be able to establish when she's really safe. Otherwise, they could go through the modern methods.
Okay.
The modern methods, now you have female condom, which is relatively new. You have the male condom. These are barrier methods. You have
How many percent proof are these condom methods?
well, from available statistics, it should be as high as 95% if
95,
correctly and consistently used.
Okay.
Because if you use it correctly once and the next round of intercourse you don't use condom, then it's not consistent. So if you are going to be relying on male or female condom for your family planning, it has to be consistent. Every time that love making is to take place, it has to be with male or female condom, separately, not together.
Okay.
And then the condoms also...
Now, when you say separately, does it mean the woman will wear?
No, no,
At the
no.
same time, the man will wear?
That's where I'm going to.
Okay. No,
if it is the female condom,
Okay.
the woman will have to wear it.
Yeah.
Okay. And the man does not need
the
to wear.
man does
Maybe
not
we should
need
have
to
come
wear
with those
anything.
samples.
And if they are using female condom,
Okay.
it means that every time they want to make love, the woman must wear a new female condom.
Okay.
There's no room for
Recycling.
repeat usage. The same applies for male condom. Anytime they want to make love, the man will wear it, and they have at least 95% success rate.
Okay.
And then you also have oral contraception, oral contraceptive pills. You have the ones that are good for mothers that are breastfeeding. Meanwhile, it's recommended that the first 6 months of childbirth, if the woman is doing exclusive breastfeeding, the woman is protected from unintended pregnancy.
But I've seen people who are doing that and they still get, you know what I mean?
Exactly, yes.
They still get pregnant.
Well, one thing is that you have to be sure that they are saying the truth, that they have been consistent. That consistency is there. And also the second aspect is that in everything, there's this window of little chance of failure. So it may be the exception out of the normal. So when something fails, what you need to check is the number of failures. Is it too high? If it is within tolerable limits, then you can agree that that method is working well. So then, apart from the one for breastfeeding mothers, there's a combined oral contraceptive pills that the women that are not breastfeeding can use. That's in the group of oral pills. Then you have injectables. You have one that you can use a woman can take every 2 months. And then there's one that can be taken every 3 months. Then
those are injectables.
Injectable contraceptives. There's the one for 3 months. There's a variant that has come into the system, DMPAC. This is almost, it offers the same measure of protection like Depo-Provera. But one important aspect of it is that with proper orientation, a woman could actually inject herself. It's very simple.
Just like the diabetic patients.
Yeah, yes.
I have the
That can
kit for
inject
diabetes
themselves.
that I've not been able to pick even once. And you're telling me to inject myself.
Yeah, so
I will
it's
not be
similar.
able to
So
do
you're
it.
afraid. You need to...
No.
With proper
somebody has to do
counseling,
it.
with proper counseling
Somebody has to do
and
it.
support. It's
With
do-
proper
it's
counseling,
doable.
somebody has to do it.
Yeah,
I'm
with,
just
with
imagining.
proper counseling and support, Elizabeth, it is doable because you don't have to be visiting the health facilities, just like we have the diabetic patients now, injecting the insulin.
So I'm
every
just
day.
wondering that if you are saying no to it, what about people that are not as enlightened as you are?
It's
Even
not from
me.
enlightenment. It's
Yeah,
from
no,
the
I'm
pain,
saying-
from the needle.
But even myself
it's
too,
the
that's
fear.
It's
It's
the
the
phobia,
fear.
the fear.
Actually,
It's not
it's
enlightenment.
not that painful. It's like a prick.
Just
Because
very,
you give it at
very
the
tiny
subcutaneous,
needle.
not deeply, not IM, intramuscular. So it's you just pinch, it's a pinch and then put it on the subcutaneous tissue.
Well, I don't know
Sorry,
that I'll
those
do
who
it
have the
myself.
muscle,
And
they can do it.
it's very
Exactly.
ideal. It's very ideal for getting to the hard-to-reach areas, the communities,
Yeah.
Okay.
where you don't readily have health facilities available to ensure services are provided. So
Like she mentioned, the rural areas.
yes, because when you look at the urban dwellers and the rural dwellers from surveys, the uptake is more in the urban areas, just like
Yeah.
the level of education impacts positively on the level of uptake too.
All right, so we'll still be on that. Let's see and communicate a little bit with our viewers. Somebody says here, good morning, ma. My name is Blessing from Kaduna. Ma, I have 2 children and 4 years. Okay, they are 4 years and 1 year. That's a good spacing, right? Okay.
Very good.
All right. I want to do family planning, but I do not know which one to go for. because most people say the disadvantage is more than the advantage. You see where I'm coming from? So, I don't, you get to answer that. I'll still take more questions, more this thing. Family planning. I am Elder Abuchi Ikegwonu from Mba in Ben, the local government. This is quite regular. My question, one, where do you place culture and custom in a situation of male children to a family with 6 females?
6 already.
6 females.
6 females.
So,
Okay.
so you need to keep duplicating to make the male one. Is that it?
Not really.
Okay, let's.
You know, when it comes to the issue of now gender preference, either for male, for female, I think that should not decide, because I know a woman that have 9 sons and she's yearning still
For a girl.
to have a girl. And I've met also the other side of it. A woman that has 6 girls and is yearning to have a male child. So at the moment you begin to look at the gender preference, you also put your life at risk. And what I tell couples is that you have to be alive to have babies. You have to be alive to take care of the babies. So whichever one God gives you, is for us to be prayerful that they are quality
Well
and they
trained.
contribute to the national development, contribute to humanity. That is it.
That is it.
Because I think the saying goes, what a woman can do, a man can do. Or
Even
what a man
better.
can do, a woman can do even better.
better.
So I think it's the quality that matters. It's not about the gender, because that takes us to the gender responsiveness, especially in addressing a lot of cultural barriers to it. So take decision, informed decision, you're supported, information will be provided to you. You'll be counseled on the right choice based on your own chemistry, your own body makeup. What fits Elizabeth may not fit me.
Exactly.
What fits you might not fit, and the same thing. So you have to be supported by a health worker. And then someone did mention the disadvantages are more. I think Lawrence can talk more to the disadvantages. There is nothing that does not have a side effect. But this, as he mentioned earlier, the side effects are so minimal, to the barest minimum, that can threaten public health. And that is why we advocate for it. It has been well researched. So because someone has taken a contraceptive pill and then added weight, because I saw a lot of women complaining of weight gaining, it depends on the individual's woman and her chemistry and her makeup. That doesn't mean I should also decide not to take the same. So we need to have a full assessment by a health worker,
person.
and you need to be informed of all the choices and then supported to make the right choice. So maybe Lawrence can talk more about the side effects.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Just
just even
before
wanted to add to that. You see, when it comes to this gender issue, you know, you don't go to the womb and decide and say it must be a boy or it must be a girl.
Exactly.
So I think this is entirely divine. I know that we have, of course, technology has gotten to the stage that people can now tell what you have on the inside. But it's God's gift. Let's accept them and embrace them and love them. And you'll be surprised. I've met men that said they wanted a boy. And they finally got the boy. But they said, I now prefer the girl that I have, because the girls take care of me more than the boys do.
Definitely.
So I think it's just a matter of us accepting the will of God.
Yes.
Accepting these children as they come as a gift, that they will be, as she said, let them be useful to you, to the society, to the nation as a whole. It's not a matter of gender now. It's a matter of contribution.
All right, you're very correct. I personally think that children are visitors in our homes. They will come and they will go. What is important is the relationship between the man and the woman. You know, children are just, the way they put it, byproducts. So whether they are male or female, for me, it's inconsequential. And at the end of the day, what accounts when you leave, it's just you alone. And while you're alive, what really matters is the communication, the bond between the man and the woman. The children will find their own spouse.
Sure.
Even if it's the man, you say men stay in the home. Those men these days, they move out, they marry. And once they marry, they are gone.
They are gone.
That's the truth.
And to add to that, honestly, I know this fear of inheritance and stuff like that. But nowadays, it's not even advisable for you to say you are leaving inheritance for children. Train them to fish.
make their own.
They can make their own. You don't need all of this wahala.
That is the
because of
weapon
it.
for survival.
Exactly.
The
So
training.
I don't see, I think this mentality really needs to change, because it's not about, okay, now everybody can do well. The girl can also do well. She can own houses. She can do a lot of things by virtue of her contribution to society.
A girl
so I
can
think
also
that
be a president.
she can be
Sure.
a president. It's happening.
We just had a president in Tanzania.
Yes, and he's a woman. So I like, but let's not move the topic
had
to
Malawi.
gender fight. I see all the women
no,
are,
no,
are
no.
hot. Let's take a break. When we come back, we have lots of questions here. We intend to take as many as we can. All right, so the break shortly.
Midst of the coronavirus pandemic, information management is key.
I'm Cyril Stober.
Fatima Umar Buba,
Joseph Johnson.
Ian Ray John,
Muhammad Kudu Abubakar.
Jumbo Yusuf.
My name is Kirian Umaya.
Here in NTA, we're working very hard to make sure that everything we broadcast is accurate and up to date. Misinformation spreads very fast.
The social media has been a huge conveyor of misleading information from one individual to another, then to another set of groups. In a short while, it goes viral, and before you know it, it is all over the world.
There have been several misleading information on coronavirus COVID-19. Recently, the misconception of 5G as a cause of coronavirus is becoming widespread. Another is the belief that hot beverages and alcoholic drinks are internal cleanser for COVID-19, thereby leading to excessive consumption of these drinks.
The use of local concoctions as treatment for COVID-19 are yet to be scientifically proven. However, there has been several theories about the efficacies of these concoctions. We should stay safe and denounce all manner of fake news and misleading information on COVID-19.
For medical advice, go on the WHO website, Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC website, or stick with the advisories from the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 or other authentic official sources. NTA is one of them.
All right, it's still conversation, and I told you it's time to interact with you who is in the house listening to us. We started already by reading a few questions, and very quickly you take the advice blessing from Kaduna what to do. She already started. But you
Yes,
just
just to chip in, it's good not to start telling somebody on phone or maybe outside conversation what methods to use. It's always better to visit a health facility where there are trained health workers that
So they will assess you.
counsel the person, assess, and then look at the health profile to be able to give, recommend, give the appropriate information that the client, that the woman will now use to make the informed choice by herself. The clients should choose after being exposed to all the methods, their merits, demerits, and
all right, blessing, you're listening. Don't listen to all the people that tell you disadvantages. You have to go and do it yourself.
My brother that already has 6 girls. So what I want to advise is that if he has the money, maybe why not adopt one of the children out there? And then for those that have not already reached 4 or more children, they can make use of available technology now to try and see if they could
have a male child.
Sex selection, either male or female, so that you don't wait till you are outside the 4 or thereabout before you start looking for what to do.
Okay, so there's actually technology I can use to, apart from the Billings method.
The IVF.
Okay, okay. That's extra expensive. All right. Good morning, Nigeria. My name is Kevin Ape. I'm from Anambra State. I want to thank you people. Thank you to Kevin, and good morning. What can be the cause of low contraction during childbirth? I don't know. Low contraction, I don't understand that. During childbirth, but we're actually talking about family planning. So let's focus on what...
The director of the family health department hinted at it, maybe when the womb is so stretched that it can
and then
no
prolonged
longer
labor can
contract.
also cause low contraction, and the uterus becomes flaccid.
Okay.
Yes,
All
so
right.
there are several reasons that causes low contraction.
And that's why it's important to have women who are pregnant and due to deliver to go to health facilities where there are skilled health workers that can anticipate all these things and give appropriate management.
All right. Good morning, sir. Please, is it that if a man and a woman should use condom, that the same time it is good or not? Okay, I guess the same question I asked, whether the two of them should wait at the same time.
At the same time, no.
Okay. No. All right,
one should use at a time.
Well, let me say this. There's this comment about dual protection of condoms. Some people tend to mistake it for both partners using different condoms. It's actually referring to the possibility of averting unintended pregnancy and also preventing infections with sexually transmitted diseases or infections. When a man uses male condom, a woman uses female condom, that singular act will not just prevent the sperm from the man going into the woman and fertilizing the ova. It will also prevent infection from either of them from getting to the other person. So that's
like
what we mean by
buy one, get one free.
Yes, yes, and then if you recall HIV/AIDS transmission. So we advocate the use of the use of condom to prevent HIV
transmission. So when you are using condom, you are preventing pregnancy and you are also preventing STIs.
All right. Good morning. Please, my question is, my wife was using Levofun to protect pregnancy, but since 1 year she has stopped it, but she's not getting pregnant. What do we do? I have often heard this because a lot of people will tell you, I'm not going to do that thing because I hear when you stop, you'll find it difficult to conceive.
Yeah,
How
and
real
sometimes
is this?
they tell you that the child will come out deformed or something.
There are a lot of myths around it.
Yes.
So, but this person is saying for 1 year, what are they supposed to do?
Well, the fact is that they still need to continue visiting the hospital to find out, to rule out other possible causes of that condition. It happens in a number of, just a few of the methods. They take a bit longer, but when it gets to it takes like 1 year, then the health workers need to be taking steps to rule out other factors. But there are methods that once you stop, the woman gets pregnant. So all these things, based on the woman's health profile, the woman will be guided to make decisions as to which method to use after comprehensive information has been given.
All right, my name is Alhaji Ajayi Dauda from Ado Ekiti. My contribution to the family planning discussion going on is that the program is good, but the majority of the people that need the advocacy are mostly in the rural area and people in the northern and eastern part of the country where reports shows that they are against this practice. Multiple birth causes a lot of harm to the family itself and society in general. One of the major causes is insecurity and high rates of crime. So advise the National Orientation Agency should be back saddled with this going around the country for proper education as Nigeria need it now. Thank you very much. And I guess in response to what you're asking for, that's why we're having this conversation. And
yes,
please...
just to add, we very much agree with him. And in response to that, I want to say that it's a partnership and a joint responsibility. And we are currently working even with the media organizations to ensure that they add their voice in terms of information dissemination, the right information, accurate information on the use of family planning commodities. And another component that we're using, the group, influential group, are the traditional institutions.
Okay.
They are now involved, we have greater participation of them. You know, to change the misconception, the traditional rulers, yes, the traditional rulers, the religious leaders, you know, to include it in their sermons or their preacher when they preach to their followers, to talk about, give the right information to families about the use of family planning. So we're hoping with those outlets and then the involvement of more partners.
And I think
We
this
should be able
person,
to
this
reach that.
person asking the question too can do a little bit in his own little corner.
Yes.
Because it's not just about the government, it's not just about our leaders, it's about everybody's hands must be on deck.
Yeah,
You can just pass the information, even to your children and their friends. You can just share the little, just within your little corner. You'll be surprised how far it will go.
So Alhaji Dauda, you heard Halima.
We
You
have,
should go and play the role as
we
well.
have two
Exactly.
important books that have been published giving a religious perspective to family planning, one from the Islamic side and then one from the Christian side. So whatever belief that people have from the religious and even from the traditional angle, I think those two books dispel them from the basis of either whether you're a Christian or a Muslim. So people cannot hide under religion again
Yes.
to say family planning is bad.
All right, so somebody is asking directly to you, will a removal of sperm as a withdrawal method prevent somebody from getting pregnant?
Yeah, there is what is called the coitus interruptus, which is another natural method that was mentioned earlier, where this is a very traditional practice. It's an old-time practice, and it's still very effective if couples can use it and be careful and ensure consistency of the method and use it well. It does work, of course, it does work. And I remember even in our traditional and religious book, this has been described very well, that it was used as long as man have ever existed on earth. They've used what is called the coitus interruptus, and it's effective.
See what I love about education. See how they have coined the name for it.
Elizabeth knows only withdrawal method. He has given me
Oh
title
my
now.
God.
It's good though. All right, so somebody says, my name is Charity. I'm writing in from Adamawa State. I have 2 children, 10 and 1, and I want to do family planning. Please, I need advice. What do I
10
do?
and 1.
10 years and
1 year
1
old.
year and 6 months.
Wow.
Well, she should visit the
Yeah,
nearest
facility.
facility for assessment and then comprehensive information.
Now, a critical question, we'll make it very short. If a woman wants to do health, family planning and discusses with a partner and they say, no, you can't, can I go on my own to go do it? I mean, without telling my husband because it affects me. Must I always go with the man? Quickly.
Well, there's a program we are doing now that has to do with male involvement. We are not encouraging friction in the family. What that program is trying to do is to bring men into the fold and make them give their voice to it. So once they are convinced, and a lot of them are already getting the understanding, and they are
So the
part
answer
of
is
our
no.
champions. No, the answer is no, because the woman has, family planning can be viewed as a kind of human right. So the woman, once she's of age, she can
Take a decision.
take decision concerning her body. Family
All right,
planning is
okay.
her
And
body
it's about the
Thank
health,
you.
it's your own health.
It's her
So
own
it
health.
reaches a point where the woman now have to take a decision. And this is where the empowerment comes in.
All
We
right,
have
so
to empower
my-
them
my-
with information, empower them even with methods, and that is why we now even have the female condoms, with the
right.
contraception, with the self-injection.
Okay.
Yes.
Our time is no longer on our side, and I wish we had more time. But we'll continue the conversation right after here. And I must say thank you to all of you for coming and teaching us. I have learned, okay? There's a last grammar you showed me now. I'll try to practice it. We'll come again next week. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Funny enough, 1 hour.
Lagos, the center of excellence. A tropical city surrounded by the turquoise Atlantic Ocean, a bounty of natural beauty with miles of pristine beaches, rich culture, and amazing people. Come and enjoy what Africa's fastest growing city has to offer. Explore a city with fantastic historical past and an even brighter future. Today is only the beginning. So much lies ahead. See tomorrow. One Lagos.
Hello, I'm Comfort. I'm Madhu with the news at 10, showing on NTA News 24 live from Abuja. Welcome to the news. Now let's get the headlines. World leaders continue to pay tribute to late Chadian President Idris Deby. NNPC advises motoring public to avoid panic buying of petrol as daily supply increases. Federal government takes further steps to secure schools, mobilizes resources to achieve the initiative. And all 6 Premier League teams withdraw from European Soccer League. We are starting the news on a sad note as bandits attacked Greenfield University along Abuja, Kaduna, killing a security guard and abducted yet to be ascertained number of students. The State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruan, is already visiting the institution to have first-hand information and the extent of the attack. But we'll keep you posted of the details as they unfold. Our world leaders continue to send condolences over the demise of Chadian President Idris Deby. Details with Oyeyemi Ajayi.
The head of the African Union, Musa Faki Mahamat, a former Chadian prime minister, said he was saddened by Deby's death, sending his condolences to his family. France deplored Deby's passing and said it took note of the creation of an interim military body, urging a quick return to civilian rule and a peaceful transition. The White House offered its sincere condolences to the people of Chad on the death of Deby. The European Union's Foreign Affairs Chief, Joseph Borrell, expressed his condolences to the family and to the Chadian authorities and people, saying the EU calls on all relevant actors to act responsibly, the immediate priority being the stability of the country and the region. Meanwhile, European Council President Charles Michel said that the stability, the security and the territorial integrity of the country have to be preserved. President of the United Nations General Assembly, Volkan Bozkir, tweeted his most sincere condolences. Senegal's President Macky Sall honored Deby's memory and contribution to stability in the Sahel. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari expressed sadness over the sudden and tragic death of President Idris Deby of Chad on the front line, fighting against rebel soldiers.
And President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed sadness over the sudden and tragic death of President Idris Deby of Chad on the front line fighting against rebel soldiers. Reacting to the incident on Tuesday, President Buhari said he was deeply shocked and devastated by the sudden death of Idris Deby on the battlefront to defend the sovereignty of his country. According to the president, the late Deby had played a vital role in our regional joint collaboration in the military campaign against the Boko Haram terrorists. President Buhari described the late Chadian leader as a friend of Nigeria who had enthusiastically lent his hand in our efforts to defeat the murderous Boko Haram terrorists that have posed grave security challenges not only for Nigeria but also our African neighbors, especially Chad, Cameroon and Niger Republic. While condoling with the people of Chad and their new leader, President Buhari called for greater collaboration to defeat the terrorists. In the meantime, Nigeria has expressed great concerns over evolving developments in Chad following the death of Idris Deby. In a statement, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyama, said the interim leadership of Chad and all stakeholders, including the two armed groups still fighting, must not allow the country to feed into more chaos with its attendant consequences. Nigeria calls for urgent consideration of dialogue among all key players, saying it is willing to guide and mainstream within the framework of Economic Community of Central Africa States, ECOWAS and African Union for an early return to democratic governance in Chad. Onyema added that such stabilization move in Chad will ensure peace not only in Chad but other regions of Sahel. Now, joining us via Zoom to discuss this development is Dr. Adoyin Matthew Omale, political scientist and international relations expert. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning. Now, late Deby had played a very active role in our regional joint partnership in military campaign against Boko Haram terrorists. What should the transition committee do to sustain this campaign?
Well, President Idris Deby has done a lot in terms of fighting insurgency in the Chad Basin. In fact, he was killed from reports on the battle line. The transition committee that has taken over has a lot on their hand, especially the insurgency in the northern part of Chad. There's a lot of work to be done, no doubt, and their hands are full. It's just unfortunate that this event has to happen when he had a new term in office. How this all will play out is just a matter of time. In your prologue, I heard the statement by the Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs or Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's a trying time for Chad, no doubt.
All right, now that a transitional committee has been formed, what should ECOWAS and other regional bodies do to resolve the crisis in Chad through dialogue to avoid further escalation?
Well, the constitution of Chad says that the power should have been transmitted to the Speaker of the Chadian Parliament. Why they are not doing that, I don't know. The interim government, that is being led by Idris Deby's son, is a military one, and how the EU and the ECOWAS and other international bodies will take the new regime, we will know in a matter of days. However, a military regime is always a military regime, and constitutionalism needs to be restored as quickly as possible. this very poor West African country. Constitutionalism in the sense that I know that the African Union and ECOWAS has taken a stand against military intervention in our African democratic system. So by and large, I think the new government should allow constitutionalism to take place, or constitutionalism to be entrenched by handing over power to the appropriate organ that is supposed to hold power, whether on an interim basis or not. Because it's like a monarchy. What is playing out in Chad, to my mind, is like a monarchy. Father dies yesterday and the son takes over the following day. I think they should respect their constitution and let the right thing be done. That is my opinion.
All right, in doing the right thing, what support do you think should be given to Chad to return to democratic rule as soon as possible?
Well, I think the democracy, like I said, elections just finished some few days ago. Dissolving parliament, dissolving all democratic institutions, to my mind, is not right. If we are practicing democracy, then the institutions of democracy are more than an individual. The death of President Dabi should not lead to dismantling of all democratic institutions. That is what I am saying. In as much as the interim government have taken over, to me, it's a military coup. So the earlier they finish whatever time maybe they have and return back to the barracks, the better for democratic practice in Africa and in West Africa specifically.
All right, thank you very much for your inputs there. We're glad you could join us on the news to give us further understanding on the happening in Chad.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Now, moving on, a 10-member American jury found police officer Derek Chauvin guilty of all 3 charges of murder and manslaughter of unarmed Black American George Floyd. The severest charge of second-degree murder carries a maximum 40-year imprisonment. The sentencing will follow in 8 weeks. Analysts say it is a landmark trial on systematic police brutality and racial discrimination against Blacks and other minorities in America. Now you're watching the news at 10 and NTA News 24. There will be more reports after this time out.
Yes, who is there?
Now open, it's me, Emeka.
My brother, how far now?
Bros, is it true that the price of petrol will soon go up again? I don't understand this country again. Food and electricity are expensive. Now I'm hearing that fuel too will increase. Why now?
Emeka, don't let anybody confuse you, please. The regulation of the price of petrol means the market is now open for healthy competition. The price could go up or down. It all depends on the market forces.
The price will still go up again?
Not like that. Nigeria has spent about 10 trillion naira on fuel subsidy. And with this deregulation, that money will be used for other important things like infrastructure and education. This competition will reduce the price in the long run.
Are you serious?
Yes, now. You see how SIM cards are now affordable to all? That's how petrol will be too. PPPRA will not allow Nigerians to be exploited unjustly. Now, go out there and spread the good news.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
This message is brought to you by the Petroleum Product Pricing Regulatory Agency, PPPRA.
If you just tuned in, this is the news at 10, broadcast live on NTA News 24. Now, the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Mele Kolo-Kyari, is advising the motoring public to avoid panic buying of petrol as issues resulting in the scarcity of the product has been resolved. The NNPC boss stated this while briefing journalists after an audience with President Muhammadu Buhari.
These queues will go away because there was industrial action by petroleum tanker drivers against their employers, the National Association of Road Transport Owners, around their compensation package, and those issues were not resolved up to yesterday until we intervened to ensure that there's an amicable settlement between the parties so that they will have peace, and then normal loading operations will commence from the depots. As I speak to you this moment now, loading has commenced in all depots in the country. Dispatches of trucks are ongoing in all depots in the country, and they have called up the strike for a period of 1 week so that enable us to intervene and find resolution. So there's really nothing fundamental that is happening now.
He also gave reasons why the NNPC declared that there will be no increase in fuel price for the month of May.
Going on within government to get the best framework for having a fully regulated PMS market. As this is going on, we're engaging all parties and all stakeholders as government, and to make sure that at the end of the day, there's an exit that is beneficial to the ordinary man. And that is why we know we will not be able to complete that in the month of May, and therefore we declare that there will be no increase in fuel price.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has increased the daily supply of premium motor spirit petrol across the country from 550 trucks to 1,661 trucks to combat the buildup of fuel queues in some parts of the country. A statement by the Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, Dr. Kenny Obateru, quoted the Managing Director of the Petroleum Products Marketing Company, Musa Lawan, as saying that there are about 2 billion litres of petrol in strategic depots across the country to keep the nation's supply for 2 months if no drop of fuel was imported in that period. The statement says reports reaching NNPC shows that already trucks have started arriving filling stations, stressing that this will ease out the queues. Lawan disclosed that a 24-hour situation monitoring committee has been set up to track the movements of trucks from the depots to various filling stations across the country. And the PPMC boss explained that the disruption in the distribution chain was caused by a strike embarked upon by petroleum tanker drivers over compensation. Now, the federal government is perfecting the national plan to mobilize resources that will be invested in security of schools and learning communities. Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed disclosed this at a Finance Safe School Forum in Abuja. Musa Bakar tells us more.
12-year-old Hamisa Awal and his friends are amongst the long list of out-of-school children in Nigeria. A problem made worse with abductions of school children, insecurity, and now COVID-19 pandemic. Consequently, an estimated 13 million out-of-school children roam the streets in the country.
Pulling together this compact under your leadership.
This gathering of policymakers and implementers are, however, seeking to change all these. More financing and multi-sectorial strategies to implement Safe School Declaration in a bid to make schools safe for children to return to and build confidence in the education system. Top discussions here.
We have all committed today through a compact that will invest more in education to be able to provide our children the right type of education in the right, secure and safe environment.
This security presence to be effective has to be localized. You have to organize local communities and incentivize them to protect their schools.
At the Nigerian Governors Forum, we are committed to working with other partners to ensure that we keep our schools safe. Need to first of all secure the environment of the country before you start talking about the environment of the school.
Investment in our schools, investment in our education is actually an investment in security and defense.
A cross-sectorial working group will take recommendations and actions forward at the end of the deliberations. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Let's bring you more business news. NAS federal government seeks for improved trade volume with South Korea. Kunle Adeyeye tells us all about that.
Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment Nii Adebayo, who hosted the South Korean ambassador to Nigeria, Kim Young-chai, remarked that the volume of trade between the two countries went down from $5 million in 2018 to $1.3 million in 2019. He said the presence of over 20 Korean companies in Nigeria has made it evident that the two countries have strong economic ties. With the takeoff of the African Continental Free Trade Zone, Adebayo implored Korean investors to take advantage of Nigeria's involvement in the AFCFTA in order to have access to Africa's large market. The minister also pleaded with Korean investors to invest in the new special economic zones in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. As regards ease of doing business, Adebayo itemized one-stop investment center to provide a 48-hour delivery, ports upgrading, and establishment of special economic zones in pursuit of Nigeria's industrialization agenda, with the Korean ambassador pledging to make sure his country supports Nigeria's economic policies. And now to the details of Tuesday's tradings on the floor of the exchange. With business news, I'm Kunle Adeyeye.
As countries around the world count their COVID-19 induced losses, Nigeria has experienced a dip in revenues while expenditure increased, leaving budgetary gaps both at the federal and sub-national levels. And to bridge these gaps, the Nigerian Governors Forum is mapping out strategies to shore up revenue and improve tax administration in the country. Muplan Dakok reports.
Lessons learned from the COVID-19 pandemic cut across all sectors of the economy. And this session by the Nigerian Governors Forum is categorical that the lesson for tax administration points to one direction: the need for a digital future.
The road to technology adoption by tax administrations is now critical.
The focus is on practical in-country and international experiences that have worked and how they can be applied to assuage the situation.
To optimize revenue mobilization, tax authorities must digitalize the full spectrum of their operations.
The adoption of technology in revenue administration processes is crucial and a major enabler for enhanced and sustainable revenue generation in a globalized and knowledge-driven world. Therefore, revenue authorities at all levels must adopt automated processes.
The consensus is for every state to scale up modern, taxpayer-friendly, and technology-driven revenue administration to optimize revenue mobilization. In Abuja, Muplang Dakok, NTA News.
And crop farmers in Nigeria will soon be in for a better deal following the inauguration of fertilizer quality control inspectors, saddled with the responsibility of ensuring only certified fertilizers are sold to the field soldiers. Yohanna Suhassan Barrow tells us all about it.
Adamu Paniso has been farming for decades. For all the years, access to one of the basic farming input fertilizer has been hindering his ambition for a bumper harvest. Whenever he accesses it with less difficulty, it is of much less quality and therefore of little or no value to his crops. Sustained outcry by many farmers like him and the commitment of the federal government to make Nigeria self-sufficient in food necessitated the establishment of the National Fertilizer Control Regulatory System.
We get the data, we can be able to analyze it and make sure we get something out of it.
Sadiq Madibo is among the inspectors who are here to garner knowledge on fertilizer quality control. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Muhammad Sabananono says the initiative is a drive geared towards reducing cost of production and increasing agricultural yields of crop farmers.
We have seen long before this quite a number of fertilizer produced are adulterated.
It is expected that when people like Madibo commence the periodic quality control and assessment, the bottleneck that Adamu and many other farmers face will be a history. In Kano, Yohanna Suhassan Barrow, NTA News.
Now, the Senate is considering a proposed legislation that seeks to establish a national policy on the protection of Nigerians' critical infrastructure. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the bill, which has passed second reading, also seeks to establish a critical infrastructure protection task force.
Senate plenary commenced with President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan reading presidential request for the confirmation of Justice Salisu Garba Abdullahi,
the acting Chief Judge of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, as substantive Chief Judge of the court.
The need for national preparedness and response in safeguarding critical infrastructures resonated on the floor through the bill sponsored by Senator Sani Musa.
While the role of the task force will be to provide and facilitate and coordinate the provision of experts' guidance to critical infrastructure to detect, prevent, halt or confine an attack and to recover and restore service.
We've never lacked policies, but implementation, proper strategy and coordination is the problem. This bill will solve all of these problems if passed.
The Integrated Data Management Commission Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Yusuf, and the National Livestock Management Bureau Bill by Senator Bima Inagi, passed second reading. Senate called on the federal government to provide more incentives to cement producers so as to reduce prices. This followed a motion by Senator Ashiru Yisa. The legislators urged the National Emergency Management Agency to provide relief materials to victims of rainstorm in Olamo Borough local government area of Kogi State, as moved by Senator Issa Jibrin.
In order to boost production of cement, reduce price, and encourage more valuable producers in Nigeria. I think that's perfect.
The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to provide minimal seed capitals for the victims in the affected communities.
Senate mourned former Minister of Commerce, led Dr. Mahmoud Tukur, and former Senator Itang Umoyo, as moved by Senators Aishatu Dahiru Binani and Ekon Eyakenyi. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Speaker, House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila says the National Assembly is to ensure review of Nigerian foreign policy in line with federal government's drive towards addressing the contemporary security, economic and political challenges Nigeria is facing. This was part of his submission at a review of Nigeria's foreign policy in Abuja. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
Various issues capable of accelerating Nigeria's developmental processes were brought up in the Speaker's submission and that of Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema at the retreat.
Our nation's foreign policy should define the terms on which we engage the rest of the world to address the different manifestations of our shared challenges so that we can each and together survive through this new age of promise and peril.
Foreign policy is therefore dynamic and responsive to changing priorities and interests.
The idea, according to the legislature, is to come up with a way forward for Nigeria to assume its rightful position within the global diplomatic cycles of the 21st century.
It is imperative that we review not only our foreign policy, but indeed the totality of our system politically, socially, and indeed economically.
Such a peace must encompass and as well as engender ideals that will make Nigeria maximize the gains of its relationship with every part of the outside world.
Representatives of Nigeria abroad need to shake off the demigod mindset and have a service mindset.
The need to resolve issues surrounding the issuance of passport and national identity card, attention to the plight of Nigerians in diaspora, and how best to identify contradictions that will work for or against the country were among the strategic national interests presented at the retreat. In Abuja, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
News at 10 continues shortly after this break.
and welcome. It's Visual Impressions on NTA, and I am Umar Mohammed. Today we will be looking at the gradual emergence of one of Africa's leading teen artists, Tunde Odunlade. In the early 1960s, Tunde was a pioneer member of a workshop organized by expatriate Susan Wenger in Osogbo. Now, Visual Impressions had a chat with the second-generation artist of Osogbo School, who practices in a diverse set of mediums. Let's get to find out more on his intricate and highly textured technique in the clip that follows.
A major artistic transformation occurred in Osogbo, a Yoruba town in western Nigeria, in the early 1960s. Expatriates such as Susan Wenger, Yuli Boyer, and Georgina Boyer introduced new techniques and materials to Yoruba artists and urged them to find their own forms of expression. The workshops focused on printmaking but were intended to help participants to learn to support themselves, and that gave birth to the emergence of Tunde Odunlade, who through several decades of vigorous art practice is now one of Africa's most celebrated batik art tapestry and design artists. Tunde Odunlade was born in 1954 on the 26th of November. He is a Nigerian artist, actor, and musician known for his batik art tapestry and design. He specializes in textile art and photography.
I'm an artist, and I work with textile and fiber art and then printmaking. I'm from Ile-Ife, but I live in Ibadan, and I live in part in the US. So I've been juggling my life between Nigeria, America, and part of Europe since 1981. And now I decided to have a place in Nigeria that I can say, let's do the art thing. That is music, drama, dance, and of course visual arts.
In the early 1970s, Tunde studied with Yinka Adeyemi, a member of the Osogbo School of Arts that was largely responsible for the explosion of creative contemporary art emanating from Nigeria under the Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife. He developed a technique called batik applique, a process that builds on traditional textile print technique to create wool